got Dan Smith still hanging out. We were talking off camera about we're seeing the river levels rise. All that snow eventually is going to end up in the rivers, and we don't. We try to predict it every year. It's going to be a big, slow runoff. It's going to be a steep, quick runoff. You never know, but either way, the rivers are untouchable for a period of anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, typically.
Yeah. They're either too low or they're way too high.
Yeah.
Dowd Junctions, Dowd Chute's a nice one. There are times you can run Dowd Chute, and there are times you can't run it because it's too fast, and there are times you can't run it because it's too slow.
It's that there's a fine line.
The key here is don't do this stuff unless you know how.
Yeah.
If you want to go on the water and you don't know how, take one of the classes or go with a guide service. But if you get out, the time to learn is not when you're in the middle of the water. This is not going to be a good time for you. When we have these down periods, we don't have missions, we have a lot of trainings. We've done, I think, 3 or 4 days of swiftwater training in the water in the last 2 weeks. And we have people in dry suits. Folks that come to visit us here don't understand. After about 3 minutes, you can't close your hand with any grip.
So it's about 3 minutes right now? With
about 3.
I mean, that water
it's 32 degrees.
Has just melted, so it still is.
Yeah,
like you said,
it's 32 to 34 degrees in there, and that's cold.
Hypothermia quick.
Very quick, and loss of muscle control. You can't hang on to ropes on the side of boats and your raft and things like that unless you're in a dry suit and have gloves. And I've seen people come out with their hands absolutely blue. Some of our guys, because they had to work out there and they didn't have the dexterity and a glove to do it, and then you got to warm them back up. So there's a lot of training time. This week we're taking all the new folk. We have 28 new people in the last 18 months, and many of them have never been in a helicopter before or have seen a helicopter. So Wednesday night we're going down to Hats, and the lecture starts with, this is a helicopter. That is the tail rotor. Don't walk into it. And go from, you're very done if you walk into the tail rotor. And it's very unpleasant. But here's how to fasten the seat belts. The military seat belts fasten very different. It's a 4 or 5 point harness, depending on where you're sitting, and it locks in the chest here. So it's not like an airline seat belt. You have to know how to clip in. You have seats with a cavity under them. Well, no, you don't put things in that cavity because there's pistons on the seats. If you get a hard landing, you don't want anything to prevent that seat from going down and absorbing some of the landing. So there's a place in the helicopter, you take a D-ring and you clip your pack to either a strap or a ring on the floor. We're going to talk about how you set up.
Right?
Yeah, the basics. And this is for people who have never seen a helicopter before. Their only interface with it for a while is going to be loading and unloading when we send them into the woods for a fairly serious search in a Black Hawk. But you don't want to find that out when you're trying to load the bird and we're in a hurry.
Not at all. No, for sure. And then what? Right around the corner now. What do you? So helicopter training, and then it's just the phone starts ringing again. I mean, it's a lot of hiking in the summertime. A lot of missions for hiking.
A lot of mountain bike coming up.
Yeah.
We've grown from never seeing a mountain bike when I first started to we have 4 or 5 last year. Probably have more this year. Used to be the mountain biking community was pretty much self-rescuing. Not so much anymore because there are more people in it that aren't in that ethos or have that skill set.
Right.
And we have to go get them when they crash. Hard scrabble is I'm getting to know that terrain. I'd never been down there too much before.
Okay.
But so we'll be doing that. A lot of hikers. And it always starts the same way. It was a bright and sunny day, the party's separated. It was a dark and stormy night, the party's separated. That starts about half the hiker missions. Don't separate.
Right. Don't separate.
Don't separate.
Don't
please.
separate. Just stay together. Communicate.
Stay together.
Dan, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
All right, so we'll be right back with more of the show. That's Dan Smith, Vail Mountain Rescue. Dan's sticking around for a couple of interviews, and they get busy this time of the year. And they're training right now also, so if you see them out there, just go up and give them a high five and say thanks for all they do, because it is all volunteer. We're taking a quick break. We have a look at that weather forecast coming up after the break.